Hey James, a lot of people ask us about the link between Islam and terrorism. Does Islam inevitably lead to terrorism?
That's a very important question. And after 9/11, it's a question that everyone was asking after the World Trade Center was destroyed, thousands of lives destroyed, and Osama bin Laden's face was everywhere talking about a jihad against the West. And after that, it became very difficult for people in the West to disassociate this idea of terrorism from Islam. And that's a much more complicated question than most people would like to think about. But firstly, what we can say is that if we look in the Islamic source materials, it could never promote the kind of terrorism that we saw here. The main reason being that it was written before there was gunpowder. It was written before there were airplanes, right? So you couldn't exactly endorse what happened here. But what people will start to see when they read the Quran is there is talk about jihad. There is a lot of talk about being a shaheed, like a martyr in battle. And they want to draw a straight line from that to the events of 9/11 and all the other suicide bombings we've seen since then. But part of the problem with that is that in its original context, Islam represents the state for better or worse. And a lot of the jihad verses and a lot of the traditions around jihad kind of assume governments fighting each other with standing armies. It's not talking about renegade people going and creating terrorist attacks. Most Muslim scholars are going to say that in order to have jihad, in order to have holy war, you need to have a righteous cause and a caliph ruling the Muslim world who's able to decree jihad. And there has not been a caliph in the Muslim world for about 100 years at this point. Whereas other scholars like Ayman al-Zawahiri and the type of scholars that inspired Osama bin Laden are going to say that, well, yes, that's normally true, except when foreign forces are making mischief in Muslim countries. And they're going to look at the oppression of Muslims around the world. They're going to look at American troops in Saudi Arabia with boots near the holy cities of Mecca and Medina and say, how could Muslims do anything other than fight? And they're going to say, well, the average Muslim, in the Hadith, it says that the person who funds a Muslim warrior in his battle participates in the Muslim warrior's reward. And then, therefore, the American taxpayer who funds the American military in making mischief, therefore, receives some of their punishment as well. And the truth is, right now, and there always has been, there is a battle for the soul of Islam. There are some people that want peace and order, and there have been people from the beginning who assassinated Uthman, who assassinated Ali, called the Kharijites. There have always been people in the Muslim world who are using force and coercion and chaos with the hope that they're going to bring in a better world as a result of that. And that has never fundamentally worked. So it is not that Islam itself inevitably leads to terrorism. The problem with Islam right now is there is a leadership vacuum in the Islamic world, and people are fighting for that leadership. And some of the people fighting for that leadership are people who want to take extreme measures to fix what they see as the problems in the world. So it's very important that we as Christians don't paint all Muslims through that same brush, that we are hospitable to the Muslims in our life, that we give them the benefit of the doubt, that we treat them as innocent until proven guilty, like the Bible says, and we provide a warm, welcome environment where we can talk about our differences and we don't deal with people with fear and suspicion.
Thanks for watching. If you have more questions, why not check out the other videos in this series? If we haven't answered your question yet, you can submit it to almeida.org/ask. We aim to answer one question every week. Like and subscribe for more content.